Hey guys, it's Sekaar, and today I wanted to go over my Stamina Dragonite build that I have been using lately for the Gold Road chapter. Before I get started, I just wanted to say I've had such a day. I recorded so many fights of this build, and it works so nicely, but none of my files saved for some reason. And then earlier tonight, I was trying to record a separate video, and I was about 45 minutes into work, 25 minutes into recording. It took me an extra like 20 minutes just to like get everything situated. I was organizing things alphabetically, and my entire PC crashes and that file gets corrupted and nothing saves. So I was thinking either I give up completely, just call it a night, and just come back another day, or I go and I record a video for my StamDK for a build that I know works, but unfortunately I do not have any footage for. So this is going to be one of those few builds that I really hope that you guys just trust me on. If you don't like it, then don't run it, but I can guarantee that it is a good build. I've tried this before and I do give it my seal of approval. So I hope that you guys enjoy. If you do enjoy, please hitting that like button for me today. I could really use the morale boost, guys. I would really appreciate it. So without further ado, let's get on with the build. On our StamDK, we are going to be Imperial because I think Imperial is really good for Dragonite in general. That reduced cost passive on all of your abilities at 6% is huge, and I definitely recommend it. If you don't have Imperial because it's the only race that you need to buy extra in this game, I would recommend something along the lines of Dark Elf. I think that would be good, or even Orc. I think Orc would give you the most amount of damage, and then also you get some nice healing back on your damage as well. But I think Dark Elf will give you the most amount of overall damage and resources with your magic and stamina. So overall, we'll use one of those two, but I just really like Imperial overall. We're also going to be, for our attributes, we're going to have 0 points into magic, 15 points into health, and 49 points into stamina to give us a max magic pool of 15.3k, a max health pool of 32.6k, and a max stam pool of 24.4k. And then also we're going to be Vampire Stage 3 for now, because that's going to look like it's going to be changing soon. And then we're also going to be using the Serpent as our Mundus to get a little bit of stam recovery as well. So, moving on to our monster set, we're going to be using Balorg. So this is the first time that I've ever run Balorg on a DK. I usually run Bloodspawn, but I've been trying Balorg today to try and get some really nice hitting leaps. And guys, I've been hitting like 17k leaps pretty consistently. Like, it's actually kind of cracked the damage you can do when you stack a lot of ultimate. So Balorg, what it does, it's going to give you a line of weapon and spell damage, and the two-piece is going to be when you use an ultimate ability, you gain weapon and spell damage equal to the amount of total ultimate consumed, and physical and spell penetration equal to 23 times the amount of total ultimate consumed as well for 12 seconds as well. So basically what that means is, say you use 200 ultimate, you're going to gain 200 extra weapon spell damage in 12 seconds, and then 200 times 23, whatever that is. I'm no math magician. But anyway, that's going to be like that for 12 seconds, and that's going to also count the damage on your ultimate. So I just really like this overall, because that extra damage you get on your ultimate and then for the next 12 seconds is huge. It is so high. And usually I use Bloodspawn instead, but I was like, you know what? We're not using Corrosive. So I was like, I want to try using Balorg on this, and it is so nice. So our helmet is going to be heavy reinforced, and our shoulders are going to be medium impen. I did also want to put this disclaimer out there. If you feel slightly squishy on this build, which it happens, or if you want to get ult more often, drop the Serpent Mundus, use Warrior Mundus, and then put in Balorg, or not Balorg, use Bloodspawn instead, and that will give you a little bit more damage overall, but it would also give you more recovery because you get ultimate faster on your Bloodspawn. Then also you get a little bit more resistances as well for that Bloodspawn as well. So it's up to you. I just wanted to give you those options because, you know, I do like trying stuff that's new, and I just haven't ever used Balorg before on DK, and I do like it a lot. We're also going to be using Curious of the Trainee. That's going to be heavy reinforced because we have one extra slot on this build, so this is going to give you an extra little bit of max health. And on top of that, heavy reinforced chest piece is always the way to go. It gives you the most amount of health and resistances as well. So our back bar set is going to be Bracers of Daedric Trickery. It's going to be medium in Impen. Daedric Trickery, it's always a staple on DK as well. It's going to give you a line of max health, max stam, max magic. And when you deal damage, you gain 1 of 5 random major buffs for 21 seconds every 9 seconds. And those buffs are going to be Expedition, Protection, Mending, Heroism, and Vitality. So basically, it's either going to make you fast, it's going to give you some really nice tankiness, or it's going to give you some nice healing or ulti gen as well. So there's a lot of nice buffs to choose from there, and it just really helps out on DK. The healing gets really nice. The heroism is really, really nice. The expedition, I could take it or leave it. But, I mean, that's just a 1 in 5 chance. The other ones are really nice to get as well. And this is where we switch it up a little bit. We're going to be using Oakfather's Retribution as our front bar set. It's going to be a light sash in Impen. This is going to give you 3 lines of weapon and spell damage, and then the 5 piece is going to be gaining 449 of offensive penetration against enemies for every major buff they have active, and also gain 20 weapon and spell damage against enemies for every minor buff they have active as well. So basically, all the buffs that you have at all times, say somebody's using Oakfathers against you, they're going to use all those major buffs against you, and it's going to be so unbelievably insane for those damage, especially for Oaken Soul gamers. The amount of buffs that Oaken Soul gives you in general is insane, and you just do so much damage. There's a reason why this is called Oakfathers to Oaken Soul. You kind of become, you know, the father of it. Anyway, I'm just saying. Oakfathers has been really nice because also just think of it as well. The buffs from your potion gives you, like, for tripods, for those of you guys that use tripods, that usually right there gives you 3 major buffs right there. And that's going to be an extra, like, 1500 offensive pen basically. And then something like this is going to give you Flames of Oblivion. That's going to give you Major Prophecy and Savagery at all times. So that's 2 different buffs. Major Prophecy, Major Savagery. That's an extra 1000 pen on people like me. So that's insane. People don't really think about that. The buffs stack, and Oakfathers is actually a really good set to use right now. The damage is super nice. Moving on, we're also going to be using Greaves of Daedric Trickery. It's going to be heavy reinforced. And then for our feet, it's going to be medium impen for Daedric Trickery as well. Our 2 rings are going to be rings of the Oakfather's Retribution. Both are going to be infused with weapon and spell damage enchantments on it. And then our mythic, guys, we've been on the Satan the Seducer hype train. I love this mythic. It's the best mythic in the game, in my opinion. We're going to use it infused with a weapon and spell damage enchantment on it. So what it does is, while in combat, you're going to gain 1 of 5 random major buffs, which changes every 10 seconds. Enemies within 12 meters of you are going to gain 1 of 5 random minor debuffs, depending on which buff you have. The available buffs and debuffs are going to be Major Berserk, Minor Maim. Okay, when you have Major Berserk, your enemies are going to have Minor Maim. When you have Major Resolve, your enemies are going to have Minor Breach. When you have Major Force, your enemies are going to have Minor Brittle, Major Evasion, Minor Vulnerability, Major Courage, Minor Cowardice. So basically, all those major buffs and all those major buffs as well, count that for Oakfathers as well. So this is insane amounts of damage. To have these major buffs and to have the corresponding minor buffs on your enemies is insane amount of damage discrepancy. And I have been using just this as my mythic this patch. I don't think I could use anything else while this is still active. It's so unbelievably good. This puts Mark into shame. Death Dealers is still good for like Magsorks, I guess. But I just think Satan the Seducer is just overall best in slot for something like this, because that damage is just absolutely nuts. I love it, and I can't speak highly enough of this. Plus, this is a very, 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 very easy grind for getting the leads for this. So I really, guys, I can't stress enough. If you go and you start to grind out this mythic, you will have this within an hour. I promise you, it is so easy. Look up the leads, get it done. I promise it's worth it. Moving on to our front bar set, we're going to use dual wield maces of Oakfather's Retribution. Main hand is going to be Nirnhoned with a shock damage enchantment on it. Offhand is going to be charged with a magic consumption glyph on it. And then back bar, we're going to be using Ice Staff of Daedric Trickery, defending with an increased weapon and spell damage enchantment on it. And so let's move on to our champion points next. Our blue slottables are going to be Untamed Aggression, Deadly Aim, Mastered Arms, and Wrathful Strikes. Our red slottables are going to be Sustained by Suffering, Survival Instincts, Celerity, and Pain's Refuge. And then our green tree, what we really care about is Breakfall, Rationer, and Liquid Efficiency. And so let's move on to our skills. Finally, our main sources of damage is going to be Molten Whip. So this is going to be dealing 9,200 flame damage, and we're not even buffed up yet, so that's a pretty high tooltip. And then also, whenever you activate a different Ardent Flame ability while in combat, you're going to gain a stack of Seething Fury, increasing the damage of your next Molten Whip by 20%, and it's going to increase your weapon and spell damage by 100 for 15 seconds as well. And so that's going to stack up to 3 times. So the way to get your 3 stack is your last 3 abilities on here, Flames of Oblivion, Venomous Claw, and Noxious Breath, are all examples of Ardent Flame abilities. So you just hit all those abilities once on your enemies, and then you have a 3-stack Molten Whip. It's that easy. It's literally that easy. That's basically the combo right there, is you always want to make sure that you have a 3-stack Molten Whip ready to go. I mean, if you don't, that's fine too, but that's going to be the best way to maximize your overall damage. Because honestly, I'm not going to be able to show you what the Seething Fury looks like, but when we're like that, when we activate our buff... wait, what? Oh my... Our buff, it already increases our tooltip by over 2,000, and that tooltip gets a lot higher than that, I promise. The Molten Whip can get up by 20% for 3 stacks more, so that's going to be about, what, 16, 17, 18k? That's not even counting our Balorg, that's not even counting our Oak Fathers. There's a lot of extra damage to be had here. Plus, that's not even counting our Satan the Seducer damage either. Also, we've got Shattering Rocks, which is going to be your main CC on this build. Can't be stunned or blocked, so that's awesome. And you're going to get a nice little bit of heal on here too, which is always nice as well. And then we also have Flames of Oblivion. It's a nice little bit of burst damage to kind of stack with your other abilities. Plus, on top of that, it's going to give you Major Prophecy and Savagery, increasing your weapon and spell critical by 2,600. And then also we've got Venomous Claw, which is going to be a nice little dot to put on your enemies. It's going to be dealing 5,100 initial damage up front, and then a little bit of a dot afterwards. And then also, your poison is going to be dealing damage. So the poison seeps into the target and deals increased damage the longer it lasts, dealing 12% more damage every 2 seconds. So what you want to do is you want to stack this on somebody, then just leave it alone, let the dot go, and the damage will be hitting a lot harder towards the end of that. And then also the poison status effect is huge as well. And then we also have Noxious Breath, which is kind of a pseudo-spammable in a way, because this damages a nice little AoE, and also it can go through roll dodge. So hit your enemies with this, and then they're going to be hit by that initial damage, and they're going to have a 24-second dot on them as well. But most importantly, you're also going to be applying Major Breach to them, which can reduce your enemy's physical and spell resistance by 6k as well. And then we have Take Flight. This is going to be the cheaper ultimate. And this damage hits a lot harder. The tooltips that I've gotten on this and the damage numbers that I've seen on this with this build are absolutely cracked. I love it, and I can't recommend this enough. And then we've got Igneous Weapon. This is going to be your source of Major Brutality and Sorcery, increasing your weapon and spell damage by 20% for 1.2 minutes. I know that there are probably better sources of Major Brutality and Sorcery in like the Scribing Kit, but overall, I like the convenience of this because you apply this and then it lasts for 72 seconds and you don't need to reapply it, which is really, really nice to not have to reapply this every little bit in combat. It really saves you a lot of resources, and overall, it's just one of my favorite ways to get Major Brutality and Sorcery. Also, we've got Race Against Time. This is going to be your source of Major Expedition, so this is going to increase your movement speed by 30%. So it's going to be your source of Minor Force, so it's going to increase your critical damage by 10%. Also, activating this ability is going to remove all snares and immobilizations to you and grant you immunity to them for 4 seconds. So you get into those sticky situations where you're locked down, you hit this, boom, run, get out of there. We also have Resolving Vigor, which is a nice 5-second heal over time. It's going to really help you get back up to full health. And on top of that, you're going to get Minor Resolve, so it's going to increase your physical and spell resistance by 3k for 20 seconds as well. Also, Coagulating Blood. I know I could use a scribing ability on here, but I really didn't want to yet. I want to try this build out one step at a time, and Coag is, in my opinion, still one of the best heals. Yes, it's a little bit expensive, but it still does a lot of healing, and it's definitely your best source of burst heal on this build. And then I also really like hardened armor as your morph for spiked armor. This is going to be your source of major resolve, so it's going to increase your physical and spell resistance by 6k for 20 seconds. Also, you're going to get a little bit of a damage shield as well. And guys, do not sleep on that damage shield. The combination of having hardened armor and then like resolving vigor, you really don't need to spam coag that way, because that shield is going to protect you while your heals go off on resolving vigor. And then also we've got Magma Shell on here, which I don't really use too often, but it's a really good way to just turtle and just absorb a lot of damage when you're just taking too much. If you're fighting a lot of people, you need to go offensive, but it's hard to. Use Magma Shell, it's going to make you really tanky. You're not going to really be able to do that corrosive damage inside of it, but you're going to get that little extra Balor damage for 12 seconds as well. So it's worth it. You're going to be a lot more tanky than your average self would be, and you are at the end of the day going to have more damage. So I really like the Magma Shell morph more than the corrosive, because you can still gain ultimate while inside of it. And I think that is the entire build. I really hope that you guys enjoyed. Again, I'm so sorry that we don't have any footage for this build today. You guys know that I never do that. I can't remember the last time I posted a build without footage. So please, guys, trust me when I say that the build does work and it does have my seal of approval. I promise. If you guys don't believe me, that's perfectly fine too. I'm not here to force you guys into beliefs one way or the other. I just really know that it was kind of a do or die. Either post something today, or I just don't post for an entire week, which I don't want to do. I've been in a really weird spot mentally with the game and with content and all this stuff, and I don't know. I've gotten to the point where I'm a little bit burnt out, but I really do want to succeed, and I really want to just do well with the whole YouTube, both YouTube channels actually, both my monetized ones, my Twitch, a lot of it. So I don't know. I'm in a weird spot right now, and I really wanted to get this done. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really can't stress how much I appreciate you guys watching this video. This one means a lot to me. It really does. So if you guys could hit that like button, comment your what should I have you guys comment? You know, guys, I've been in a fun mood lately with movies. So I just went to the movies and I watched Longlegs, which is a new horror movie. So in the comments, if you guys are still here at this point, I would like to know what your favorite recent movie that you've seen is. It doesn't have to be a new movie, but if you've watched it recently, what is a movie that stood out to you recently that you're like, you know what, I really like this? I always like to hear you guys' responses. So guys, if you do go see Longlegs, definitely go do that. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate you guys staying to the end of the video, and I will see you guys on the next one. Later.